What you are about to see will change your definition of true strength. This is a story of hidden pain, unforgivable arrogance, and a moment of justice that left an entire room speechless. Stick with me until the end, because the final twist is something you truly need to see to believe. If you believe in karma, in the quiet dignity of those who serve, and in the power of a father's love, you are in the right place. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to True Kindness Tales for more stories that prove it's not the flashy car or the fat wallet that makes a man, but the content of his character. The crystal-clad world of Viridian Heights, a restaurant where the champagne flowed like tap water and a single appetizer cost more than a week's groceries, hummed with a muted, moneyed arrogance. At its center, presiding over a table of sycophants and sleek-suited climbers, was Alistair Vance. CEO of Vance Tech, a man whose net worth was a string of numbers so long it seemed fictional, and whose ego was meticulously polished to a sharper sheen than the silverware. Across the room, moving with a quiet, efficient grace between tables, was Leo. To the patrons, he was just waiter. A face to be ignored, a voice to give orders to. But beneath the crisp white shirt, his body was a roadmap of old scars and hardened muscle, and his soul was singularly focused. His 6-year-old daughter, Maya, who was currently fighting a fever at home under the watch of a kindly, elderly neighbor. Every tip, every extra shift, was a brick in the fortress of security he was desperately trying to build for her. He was a ghost here, unseen, until he wasn't. The collision course was set when Vance, mid-boast about a hostile takeover, gestured wildly with his hand, knocking a half-full glass of ridiculously expensive Bordeaux directly into Leo's path. The crimson liquid splashed not on the floor, but across Vance's own immaculate, custom-made suit sleeve. The room stilled. Vance looked up, his eyes not finding a human being, but a target. "You clotting, useless oaf," he hissed, the venom cutting through the classical music. Leo, his jaw tightening, immediately pulled a clean linen napkin. "Sir, my deepest apologies. Allow me to, don't you dare touch me," Vance barked, rising to his feet. He was a tall man, used to looming. "Do you have any idea what this suit costs? More than you make in a year. You've ruined it. You've ruined my evening." Leo, the training of a lifetime screaming in him to de-escalate, to absorb, kept his voice low, a father's patience woven into every word. "I truly am sorry, sir. It was an accident. Please, let the dry cleaning be on me." This offer, this shred of dignity, was the final insult to Vance. A laugh, cold and mirthless, escaped him. "On you. That's rich. You think I want your peasant's allowance? No, I want you gone, manager. Now." But as the manager scurried over, apologetic and sweating, Vance wasn't finished. The real audience had arrived. He needed a grander gesture. Leo, seeing Maya's worried face in his mind's eye, offered one more apology, his voice barely a whisper. "Please, sir, my daughter is sick. I need this job." Those words, that vulnerability, were like blood in the water to a shark like Vance. It revealed a pressure point. A weak spot. And for a man like him, a weak spot was meant to be exploited, not compassionately considered. A cruel smirk twisted his lips. "Your daughter. I feel sorry for her, having a failure for a father. Perhaps if you were less clumsy, you could afford a better life for her." Every cell in Leo's body froze. The air left his lungs. The noise of the restaurant faded into a high-pitched hum. He saw red, but he saw Maya's smile clearer. He clenched his fists so hard his nails bit into his palms, drawing blood. He took a deliberate, shaky step back, choosing her future over this moment's violent release. Vance misread the retreat as absolute submission. He puffed out his chest, the conquering hero. "Now," he announced to his table, "get out of my sight. You're fired. And you can beg on the street for all I care." He then, in a move of pure, performative contempt, did the unthinkable. He didn't just yell, or wave a dismissive hand. He drew back his designer shoe and, with a forceful, disgusted kick, connected with Leo's shin. It wasn't a fight-ending blow, it was a symbolic one. The ultimate act of degradation. A billionaire kicking a servant, like a man kicking a dog. The thud was sickeningly loud in the hushed room. Leo staggered back, not from pain, but from the seismic shock of the humiliation. The entire restaurant watched, a gallery of horrified, yet silent, witnesses. Leo looked from Vance's smug face to the ring of onlookers, their pity somehow worse than the anger. He gave a single, slow nod, a world of meaning collapsing into that gesture. He turned, and without a word, walked towards the staff door, his head held high, the ghost of a fighter now fully awakened. Alistair Vance preened. He sat back down, accepting the nervous, congratulatory murmurs of his guests. Some people, he declared, sipping his wine, need to be reminded of their place. For him, the story was over. He had won. The manager, wringing his hands, followed Leo to the back, offering stammered apologies but confirming the termination. He's a powerful man, Leo, I have no choice. Leo just listened, methodically unbuttoning his waiter's jacket. He placed it on a hook with a strange finality. He didn't speak. He simply walked out the back door into the service alley, the cool night air hitting his face. He pulled out his phone, his lifeline, and called home. Mrs. Gable, how's my Maya? Hearing her sleepy, feverish voice say, Daddy, when are you coming home? Was the only bomb and the final catalyst. Soon, my brave girl. Very soon. Daddy just has one last thing to do. Meanwhile, Vance decided the restaurant was beneath him. The scene had soured the ambiance. He threw a wad of cash on the table, a king leaving his crumbs, and announced they were heading to an exclusive club down the street. His entourage followed him out the main entrance into the opulent, marbled lobby of the building Viridian Heights occupied. They were laughing now, the ugly incident already becoming a funny anecdote for Vance. Did you see the look on his face? He guffawed, pushing through the revolving doors into the grand, vaulted lobby. And then, he stopped. There, in the center of the empty, polished floor, under the glare of a massive crystal chandelier, stood Leo. He had removed his tie. He stood perfectly still, feet planted in a stance that was now unmistakable, not a waiter's deferential posture, but a fighter's ready equilibrium. The quiet, pleading man was gone. In his place was a statue of coiled, terrifying potential. Vance snorted. What is this? Come to grovel properly. Leo's voice, when it came, was different. It was low, flat, and carried in the cavernous space like a stone dropping into a well. No, Leo said. You fired me. That's business. You insulted me. That's poor character. You kicked me. That's assault. He took one step forward, and the confidence in Vance's entourage visibly fractured. But you mentioned my daughter. You used her as a weapon to try and break me. That is a line. And now, Mr. Vance, we are no longer in a restaurant. There is no manager here. There are no customers. There is just you, and me, and the fact that you have never, in your entire sheltered, privileged life, had to face a single consequence for your actions. Vance, emboldened by his bodyguards, two hulking men who now stepped forward, sneered. Are you threatening me, you little worm? Take him. What happened next unfolded with a brutal, elegant efficiency that seemed to warp time. The first bodyguard lunged. Leo didn't retreat. He moved in, a blur of controlled motion. A deflection of the grabbing arm, a sharp, precise strike to the diaphragm that folded the giant man with a sickening whoosh of escaping air. The second guard threw a powerful haymaker. Leo ducked under it, swept the man's legs, and applied a joint lock that had him tapping the polished floor in silent agony within 3 seconds. It was over before Vance's smirk had fully vanished from his face. It wasn't brawling. It was a clinical demonstration. A language of violence, spoken fluently by a man who had tried to renounce it. Leo then turned his gaze back to Vance, who was now backing away, his face pale. Do you know what I was before I was a waiter, Mr. Vance? Leo asked, advancing slowly. I was a man who fought in cages so people like you could gamble on the outcome. I was champion of a league you've never heard of, in places you would never dare to visit. I left that life to be a father. To be better. He was now directly in front of Vance, who was pressed against a cold marble pillar, trembling. You see, I learned to swallow my pride a long time ago. For my daughter, I would swallow anything. But you wanted to see the fighter. You insisted on meeting him. Leo reached out, and Vance flinched, expecting a blow. But Leo simply, calmly, adjusted the billionaire's crooked tie, his fingers precise and steady. The intimacy of the gesture was more terrifying than any punch. So here he is, the fighter you paid to see. But he doesn't fight for trophies or money anymore. He fights for one thing. And you threatened her. Leo leaned in, his voice dropping to a whisper that only Vance could hear, a whisper that would haunt his nightmares for years. If you ever speak of my daughter again, if you ever so much as think my name, I will know. And the man you met tonight will be a pleasant memory compared to the one who visits you. Your money won't stop him. Your bodyguards can't stop him. Do you understand? Vance, his CEO bravado utterly liquefied, could only manage a jerky, pathetic nod, a wet stain of fear spreading on his expensive trousers. Leo took a final step back, his gaze sweeping over the stunned, silent entourage, their phones forgotten in their hands. The spectacle was complete. And then, the true silencing moment. Leo didn't celebrate. He didn't sneer. He simply turned, walked to the lobby's concierge desk where a young woman sat, utterly paralyzed. From his pocket, he pulled out the last of his tip money from that night, a few crumpled bills and some coins. He placed them gently on the desk. For the mess, he said, with a politeness that was more devastating than any roar. And he walked out the main doors, disappearing into the city's night, not as a victor, but as a father going home to his sick child. The lobby was a tomb. The only sounds were the ragged breathing of the defeated guards and the quiet, humiliated sobs of Alistair Vance, who had just learned the hardest lesson of his life, that true power doesn't announce itself with a shout, but with a whisper that echoes forever. He had kicked a man he believed was beneath him, and had unearthed a force of nature he could never hope to comprehend. The story didn't end with a knockout punch, but with the deafening silence of a worldview shattered, and the quiet clink of coins left on a desk to pay for a rich man's broken pride. This, my friends, is the power of true kindness and hidden strength. Leo didn't fight for revenge, he fought to draw a line in the sand to protect what he loved, and in doing so, he taught a lesson in humility that money could never buy. That's the real tale. It shows us that dignity is often worn by those who serve, and that the strongest people are often the ones who choose peace, until they are forced to show you exactly why it's a choice. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that everyone has a story you know nothing about, then do me a kindness, hit that like button, and subscribe to True Kindness Tales. We find the light in the darkest moments, and we share it here, every single week. Tell me in the comments, what would you have done if you were in that lobby? Until next time, remember, be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about.